Hi, I'm Adriana Ulrich. I am the host of the Mom Bag Energy podcast. So if you're tuning in today, thank you so much. Today, I'm kicking off my podcast with my very first guest, Morgan Putnam. I know she is a little anxious, but probably one of my favorite things about Morgan, and I'm going to compliment you here, so just get ready for it, is your confidence. And I think that that's why you kill it in your career, is that is your most attractive quality. Is I feel like you come across, you present at least as if you are very like sure of yourself.
It's all fake.
So I thought that you would be the perfect person for this. Plus, I love that you are a working mom and you actually do have a lot of attributes that I admire. So we're going to touch on them today and you're going to learn about them because I don't know. Normally, whenever we meet up, we're talking about work. Yeah.
For sure.
Morgan is a realtor locally, but I'm just going to have you kick it off by, you don't need to tell us your children's names, but just like their ages and gender of your children.
No, that's great. I thought you wanted me on here just for my deep, sultry voice, so it sounds like I have something else to offer. My kids are 5, and her name's Millie, and it's a girl, and then Wynn is 3, and he's a boy, so we're kind of still in the thick of it with a 3 and 5-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to kick it off, and if you need me to start, like, I will go first because I have so many mom fails. It's not even funny. But do you have a mom fail that still haunts you or that you can, like, laugh about now?
I mean, I think, yeah, yes and no. Like, do I laugh about it? No. It still is like a little painful. But the first one, I mean, there's like so many. There's like daily mom fails, and then like the big picture mom fails, and everything in between. I think my first mom fail was just birthing my children 2 years apart. Like, what was I thinking? That was such a bad decision. I feel like in this day and age, everybody's like, oh, everybody just has babies super fast. Like, it's so normal to have them 18 months apart.
Yes.
We're like, that is actually, it's
a
horrible.
lie. It is a lie. It is a lie that we are sold that you need to have your children 2 years apart because my middle child and my youngest, Leighton and Landon, it's been a 4-year gap, and honestly, it's been heavenly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm like, why did I do this? I wasn't even like, it's not like I needed to. I mean, I was having my babies very young. And I was like, so that is my first mom fail that I'm like, why did I do this? I mean, now we're like at least a little bit like it's not like we have like the newborn and a 2-year-old or 1 and 3-year-old, which are just like horrible years.
Yes,
but
it's tough.
I just feel like that was my first big mistake. But then I have like the classic forgot my kid story where my friend and we were sending our kids to the same summer camp, and we had a miscommunication about who was going to be picking Millie up from summer camp, and I did not pick her up, and neither did my friend. And she sat there with the camp counselor for an hour, and it's just like that horrible sinking feeling. Like,
yes.
Oh my goodness, are they going to think that they're not a priority? Are they going to think that I don't care about them and what they're like, want to hear about how their camp day was? This was just like all these big feelings
coming through. No, definitely. And I think we've all forgotten our kid. Like one time Joe and I had a miscommunication about school pickup, and the same exact thing happened to Barrett, and I felt all of those same feelings that you're describing. So I think we've all been there. Routinely as a child, I was forgotten, and I think I like turned out okay. So if you are a habitual repeat offender, I promise you your children will be okay because I think I turned out fine. So just the one time she probably will remember it because it's the outlier, but it will be like a blip in the radar. I promise you.
I know. I mean, I really hope. I mean, you just like feel so. They're like sitting there alone. Everybody else is gone. It's like kind of like the echoey like space where it's just them. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible. But anyway,
no, you're so good.
Your mom fail?
So my mom fail is we got a dog a few years ago from the Humane Society, and I thought it would be a great idea to bring her to preschool pickup, even though she had not spent even a month yet with our family. But the kids were just so obsessed with her, and I was still kind of delusional in the sense that I thought that I was going to be able to bring this dog everywhere with me.
For sure.
Despite her previous trauma. And the millisecond I pulled up and I opened my door to get out of the van, she just bolted out. It would not get back in the vehicle. And so I am chasing her pregnant. I think I'm like 6 months pregnant at this point too. And the minivan parked in front of me in the parking lane was actually the same exact color. And so obviously a dog cannot tell the difference between like a Chrysler Pacifica and a Navy Honda, like whatever. Odyssey. And so she decides it's like a movie because I'm just chasing her up and down this lane that
Super pregnant.
the Honda Odyssey's doors swing open, and as they're swinging open, it's the same time she's passing by, so she decides to go into their car, and she proceeds to do zoomies inside this other mom's car. And by the time I get over there, I realize she's got a newborn infant in the center seat of that second row, and my dog is just going around it. So I physically had to get inside this woman's car and pull my dog out. And I was like, for sure, I was going to get a call from the director of the preschool, a call from the principal, and just be scolded and told, like, please do not ever come back on the premise to pick up your kid. Like, they will be out by the curb, by the stop sign. And, like, please do not ever bring your dog. So I definitely learned the hard way you're not supposed to bring your dog, or at least your untrained dog. Those of you who probably do have trained, gorgeous dogs that's in the car.
Good for you.
Good for you. But we are not that family.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. It still haunts me. And when I see that woman, I still feel terrible. And of course, I apologize, but I was just expecting like a therapy bill,
totally,
like a bill to get the car detailed, like anything. And if she sees this, seriously, those offers still stand. So like, whatever she needs from me, I will do.
Yes,
still mortified to this day.
Horrible
to this day. But what is the best piece of advice that you feel like somebody's given you regarding motherhood?
Oh man, this one was the hardest one to prep. There were three things that kind of stood out to me. And I think this has been kind of not said directly, but people have alluded to it. You won't permanently mess up your kids by doing things that help you flourish. And so I think it can feel really selfish to be doing things that are like honestly pretty selfish, just things that like serve me. And
it feels unnatural in the moment when you're doing them.
Yes.
Because it feels like you're supposed to be with your child 24/7.
Totally. Exactly. And so it just feels like, and you want to be with your kid 24/7, but you also want to be doing things that are like beneficial to me to build
as your like identity.
Yes. To keep, like my identity, keep forming myself as a human, not just my kids. So that's like a good thing that like I've heard people say like on and off throughout. And then also connection before correction. I think like obviously being a parent, you do a ton of disciplining and like trying to help like shape and mold your kid to become an empathetic, amazing person for this world. And but like always wanting to make sure that like there's some sort of connection, like you're spending a lot of time with your kids in the sense of like a lot of time being maybe just like 10 minutes of one-on-one time a day, but something that is more of like just a connection piece before just constantly correcting, because especially as they get older, it's like so easy to just get into this mode where you're just correcting constantly because they like are so awful.
Yeah.
And so
well, I also like I forget where I read the statistics. I feel like I've just like read so many parenting books throughout my journey and just like listened to so many podcasts.
Yes.
But I think it like they said for every criticism you have to almost back it up with like 10 positive like reinforcement so they don't get the internal messaging or create the internal messaging of like I'm a bad child. So
exactly.
That's so valid to like prioritize that correction or connection before correction, if I can ever talk or say it again.
Yes, it's just like this, like, yeah, so it's just a good reminder to be like always trying to like affirm and build those like positive things instead of just because it's so easy to be like, come on, let's get in the car, we gotta go, get in your seatbelt, like all these things where it's like that's actually not like creating connection, that's just like kind of being like a dictator. And then the last piece is just kind of like, this was like somebody just like kind of like laid it out straight to me like right when I had kids, like you are the parent, like now you kind of have to just like deal with the child and deal with getting the freaking crap done that involves raising a child. Like so it's just like kind of like that like humbling moment where it's like it's like you're no longer the child, like you've got to grow up and just do the things. Like, even if you're like stumbling around trying to figure out what the things even are. Like that's also like part of it. And so that was good advice. So I feel like there wasn't just like one thing, it was just like these like little
multitude of things that help like shape who you are as a mom. No, definitely. I love all of those. The best piece of advice that I feel like I've ever been given was really that if you are type A, all of the things that have made you successful career-wise and probably in your personal life will not translate to motherhood, specifically toddlers. And that really resonated for me because I am a recovering perfectionist, as Brene Brown says.
Yes, beautiful.
And I love to have checklists. I love an Excel sheet, but you cannot Excel sheet a toddler. So
Totally.
parenting has been very refreshing for me in the sense that I've had to kind of identify and lean into like my type B personality and learn how to let things go,
Yes.
which I think it's funny because I've almost have lived two separate rounds of parenting. Like I'm not the same parent I was the first go around whenever I was 24 and I was like learning to become a stepmom versus now I'm 34 and I have 3 of my own kids, that I think now my mom peers are witnessing a very laid back, unbuttoned version of myself. And it's funny because whenever I'm sitting down in those PTSA meetings, I see everyone else's anxiety. And sometimes I really just want to be like, you guys, it's gonna work out fine. Like,
Yes.
and
You have that wisdom though. Like, and you've like kind of done it
yes.
before. And it's like
Yeah.
the rest of us just like don't. And so it does feel like everything is so
Yeah.
important. You
Yeah.
can't miss anything.
Yeah. And so that's where it's like,
That's good.
you know, I wish I wouldn't have stressed out so much about so many little things that I'm now realizing just don't matter.
Yes. But it's like that is like a definitely like a growing
Yeah, that's like an
thing.
experiencing. It's only a
Yes.
time thing. So that's where it's like that is like my one message I just try to like shout from the rooftops because it's like we create so much of the like pressure and the stress and it's like doesn't need to exist. It's self-created.
Yes, it is self-created. I mean, it's just like I remember like with Millie when I was like teaching her how to eat. And I was like big into the baby-led weaning thing.
Yes.
And like I was like going on these picnics and like cutting up all these vegetables like into perfect little pieces and making sure all the fruit was cut up beforehand. Everything had to be like so perfect. This is my second kid. It's just like opening up goldfish and being like, here's lunch.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's just funny how we do create all this pressure for ourselves.
Yeah, no, and trust me, the progression from the first child to the third child, like my third child is literally like a free-range chicken. Like,
Yes.
versus like with Barrett, I still suffered with that perfectionism. So,
Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
when they say people have different childhoods because they had different like parents, like I 1,000% believe it because it's like I can just see the insane shift that has occurred over the last 10 years. So
Oh,
it'll be a
totally.
great case study in 20 years to see how wildly different all of my children are.
No, that's great. I mean, yeah, it's just you evolving as a parent. It's nuts.
But so I kind of like segued into like my favorite piece of advice that I try to tell everybody else. But what is your favorite piece of advice?
Man, I don't, similarly to my last one, I don't really have a thing that I tell people. I think what like new moms or just moms in general or parents in general, they don't necessarily want advice. They just kind of want to be like heard, especially when they're really like struggling. So I try not to really say much of anything unless I'm asked because like I mean, I just feel like between like the mommy blogger culture, like even if we're not necessarily like trying to like have that pop up on our social media, it's still
Yeah,
to us if we are
for
moms.
sure.
If we like do one Google search, we're just like forever going to get the mommy bloggers
Well,
on our
not
page
only
and stuff.
that, but if you try to Google something, you are going to get like 20 different like pieces of content to come at you and they're going to be polar opposite of like conflicting ideas.
Yes, totally. And it's like, okay, well, that was actually not helpful at all.
Like I am now more confused than when I started trying to educate myself on this one thing I wanted a like definitive answer to.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And so I think it's like also so between like social media, like the millennial parent and like starting to be the Gen Z parent, like we are absolutely inundated with social media advice. And then also like we all have these like boomer parents slash grandparents that also love to share unsolicited advice. So like I think
everyone is trying to tell you how to raise your child.
Yes, exactly. And I think moms like do to a certain extent have like these really like innate like instincts of how to raise a child and how to raise their children that are usually like pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like usually trying to not say much of anything unless asked. And usually when people ask, they're usually not asking like, oh, how do you become a good mom? It's usually maybe it's just because I'm a bad mom and that's why nobody's asking me that question.
No.
It's usually about something very specific, like, oh, how was baby-led weaning for you? Or how did you sleep train? Not that I remember either of those now.
No, seriously. Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask a personal question. So the thing with parenthood I struggle with the most is potty training. I am terrible at it. And I now have a 20-month-old. So we're still like, it's very far off, I
Yes.
think, or maybe I don't know because I don't think I do it correctly. So any words of like wisdom, any advice?
No, just yeah, I just don't do it. I don't know. Maybe wait until they're like 16 and be like, hey, do you maybe want to like stop peeing in your diaper? Maybe it's time to use the bathroom. I don't know. No, I mean waiting. We probably trained when they were like a little over 2.5.
Yeah.
Both of them, and then did the whole like pants off weekend, just
Yeah.
raw dogging it, walking around, hoping for the best, like be on the carpet, and then figuring it out pretty quick.
Yeah, because Barrett, who is my oldest, we had signed him up for a Montessori school, and like he was using the bathroom for number one, but number two, we just
Yeah, it's
hadn't
tough.
quite gotten it. And
Yeah.
I swear, and he was 4, like he was, or he
Yeah.
was about to be 4. So like this had gone on too long. And I swear he barely got it together like the week before he had to go to school. So I just think I am very traumatized from that event.
Oh,
That
for
it was just
sure.
like crazy. And then Leighton, I don't know if maybe it was like her sensory seeking because they're always like, oh yeah, girls, like it's so much easier, it's so much faster. And it's like she was younger, so I appreciate that. Like, thank
Yeah.
you to her. But actually, I don't really know if she was because it was literally like as I was having Landon and I was like, hey, like I'd really love to get you off diapers.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you feel about it?
What do I need to bribe you with?
Yes, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
I don't want to be changing 2 kids. And so
For
literally I
sure.
think maybe a month or 2 before the baby came, not very long, like she was done. So my kids have just
Like
been
Grace Bean, you know?
very late bloomers. So that's almost where it's like I've always heard like don't start them too early, but I almost feel like in my case like I don't know if we started soon enough. Like I just feel like I must keep like missing this like invisible, glorious, like perfect window because it has always taken like months upon months, years of my life. So
Totally.
I
It's
don't,
so hard. And it's so different, like kid to kid.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of those fun things that just really sucks about motherhood. Is all I could say.
No, definitely. It's probably my least favorite experience of all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go straight into that next question. So you said you don't really love to share advice specifically.
Mhm.
So maybe I did ask you that. But okay, so what is your favorite life hack when it comes to motherhood?
Oh man, I think the best thing you can do, and again, I don't like giving advice, and do not have a life hack that's actually like a life hack, like, oh, do a shared calendar. Like we've tried the shared calendar, and I still have to verbally tell Nathan, my husband, every single thing that we have coming up because it's just like it syncs with his work calendar, and yet he still just like can't
Still
register it.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still confused. And so like I just like don't have to like oh, create a monthly meal plan and repeat it every month. Like I don't do anything like that. I feel like it's like grit and bear it. Just try to survive. But it's like that's horrible advice. Like what type of life is that? But maybe like the number one life hack is actually like creating a village of people around you to get
Yes.
by. And I think
Totally.
we like live in a world with a lot of like transplants living in different cities, like not necessarily next to all of our family. And so I think there's nothing wrong with like paying for a lot of help. And
Yeah.
it's just like those early years with children.
We do not talk about it enough. And I think we need to normalize the idea. And I know I say this with like immense privilege, but like this third child came around and I was going to have somebody in kindergarten, somebody starting high school, and I didn't necessarily want to be like insanely sleep deprived and miss those moments of connection and those events because I was sleep deprived because I'm somebody who cannot function on not a lot of sleep, even 3 kids
Totally.
in, and I just wish people would talk about it more and like kind of normalize like if you can't afford having a night nurse or like a doula or somebody coming during the day to help, like do it. There's like no shame in it, especially
Yes.
when you have like multiple children. And I think even with the first child, it is such a jarring lifestyle change to go
Yes.
from like being able to get as much sleep as you want to suddenly like you are at the beck and call of this like tiny dictator who like needs things
All the time. Like literally always.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's like we in a perfect world, I think we would have like parents and aunts and uncles who can like really step in, but it's usually like I just feel like this like new generation of grandparents aren't necessarily in a place where they're wanting to like give up all of their freedom that they have found in retirement and being empty nesters to help. And then there's also like there's just like not necessarily the instance of a lot of people living next to family all the time. I think we like paying for a nanny, a doula, a night nurse, whatever it is, but then also like really trying to like dedicate time to building friendships with people and people that live like I just feel like there's such a difference between like a friend that lives like 30 minutes away versus a friend that like lives down the street. If you can like have those friends that are like really close, it makes a huge difference in being able to like
go do things.
Go do things that like have like that emergency contact when something
does
come up. Yes, when something goes wrong, or like when like somebody's like when Nathan, my husband's traveling, and I want to like just don't want to cook dinner. It's like, hey, can we just come over for dinner? You know, it's just like things where it's like it's really intentional to like. For us, it's been really intentional for us to try like build that village, even if it's not necessarily the like old school assumed village of like parents, grandparents, and
those types of
people.
So. No, definitely, because I did have kids 14 hours away from my family. That was my mom fail. Actually, I take my answer back. That was my mom fail. I would 10 out of 10 not recommend. I know we do have a large population of like army wives or I guess like like in Omaha, and honestly like yes. Thank you. And shout out to those women, because not only do they raise kids so far away from their families, they then add like move on top of move on top of move. And so it's like, that is insane. Like, they are actually my heroes.
Oh my gosh. I know. I've worked with a bunch of them to help sell their houses. And it's like, these are the queens of the world. Like, their husbands are gone like half the year, every year. And then they are just like getting stuff done. They are like the fiercest advocates for their kids too. Cause I feel like since they don't have like necessarily consistent, like their kids aren't in the same school for a year. So they are just like advocating for the kids. We don't have to talk about like how amazing military families are.
But seriously, I need a military wife to come on this show. So if anybody knows anyone, like I am seeking her out. So.
Yes. And like, I want a military wife. They are like the best. They do literally everything.
Oh man. Okay. So I do want to touch on, and I depending on how long this answer goes, this might be our last one, but how do you balance motherhood, work, and regular life? Because one thing, that's another thing I really admire about you. Like, you are playing pickleball and you are in a league. So I know you are like setting aside time. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously you found a friend to participate in this pickleball league, like with you. Do you know what I mean? And that's like half the battles, to find another mom, you know what I'm saying? Yes. To set aside the time to like engage in these activities. But I also feel like you still are really close with your core, like high school friend group. And then you're traveling solo and you're traveling without your kids. So sorry that I threw all of that at you, but whatever one you want to pick off first, let's talk about it.
I mean, I think there is no balance between motherhood and all of these dynamics of like my own priorities, my own personal priorities, like travel and pickleball and like being relatively in shape, and then work. Like it's just like, and it's so hard because I feel like we will find a routine that might work, but then like 3 months later, kids are constantly developing and needing different things, and so you have to be so flexible to be always changing, like whenever you can find balance. I think, like going back to like that village comment of like focusing on trying to find people to support you in like finding things that like that fill you up so you have time to do that. And so that comes back to like the paid village. I mean, I think we've come to terms with the fact that like this is not the time to like be necessarily
being on childcare or the nanny.
Like this is not the time we're going to be building gigantic savings. Like we are going to be like spending money to like maintain our mental health.
And, absolutely. Like, it's investing back into your mental health. And it's like, I think sometimes we forget, especially as the moms. I'm not saying dads aren't a critical part of the operation, because they are, but I feel like we're kind of the foundation of our family. So it's like, if our mental health isn't great, it trickles into like everything else.
Everything. Yes. No, after I had my second kid, I had like this, like a mental health crisis basically of like this extreme anxiety all related to health things. I like was constantly convinced that something was horribly wrong with my newborn. And I was like freaking out, and I was like, this is not sustainable. I have got to start prioritizing me and like that. And so that means I like am going to be willing to pay for a lot of childcare, even though like my parents who are boomers are like, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, who are constantly like, they're a big influence in my life and I love them so much, but they are constantly making little snide remarks about like, why are you paying for so much childcare? Why aren't you spending more time with your kids? Like, kind of like alluding to like you're a bad mom because you're not spending very much time with your kids. And it's like, no, like I literally almost crumbled after having my second
like I
kid.
almost fell apart.
Like it truly fell apart. And so now I'm just trying to survive, and that means I'm going to play pickleball every Friday night where I am like not in charge of it. I'm not like making sure my kids have food. I am like, not having to do any of the mom things, the work things. I'm going to be playing pickleball and literally just thinking about pickleball. And it's like, it's 2 hours a week. That's like not that radical, you know, but it becomes in our day and age that is pretty radical.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a really hard push. My best friend is actually a like licensed therapist. And so something she did tell me was that it's not necessarily the quantity of time we spend with our kids, it's the quality of time. Because obviously my first round of kids were step kids. And so that was like a huge concern of Joe's, where it's like he really struggled with this insane amount of guilt of like, I don't see my like children every day. And so hearing those words, it's not necessarily the quantity of time that's going to make you a good parent. It's the quality of time, going back to like that connection, that it's like, if when you're with them, you are present, they don't care that you're gone for 2 hours. I mean, of course, when you're leaving, it's the mommy, I miss you, the screaming, the crying, but like, no, like you need that time. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad and proud to hear that like you're still pursuing it despite your parents' like opinions, even though I know you love them so much. Because it's a generational, I think, difference in viewpoint and perspective on raising, where it's like so many of the boomer generation, they amassed their wealth or financial security just on like saving every single dollar, so that they look at us where it's like we're more focused on our mental health. They're like, you guys are spending way too much money. And it's like, I'm just at a place where it's like, if that means I have to work till I'm 70, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm just like, I'm okay with it because I'm just doing what I need to do in the moment to get through this season of life.
Absolutely. And to show up as like a parent that you're like, that I'm well enough that I can like raise these kids. And like, that's like a huge priority of mine, is making sure that I am like not in a place of being a mental health hot mess, because then that trickles over into your kids.
For sure.
And so it's like, I want to take the time to go to therapy, to do like have my own interests. And again, it's not like crazy. It's not, I'm not like trying to do like a ton of stuff. It's just like these little blips here and there.
No, definitely.
A little bit of break, so I can like show up as like my full self to my kids, in theory.
No, I love it. And I think you're doing an awesome job. So
well, thank you.
I will definitely share Morgan's information at the end of this. Do you have any closing thoughts? Because we're literally down to the last 20 seconds. We talked for 28 minutes. You thought you couldn't do it, and look at us. We breezed through it.
I know, we're amazing. We're so good at this. No, I have nothing else to add at this time. Thank you so much. Other than thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, guys, that's it for this week. Please tune in next week. I don't know who our guest is going to be, but I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you have a fabulous week. Thanks.